In the near future, strange creatures suddenly appear and start attacking people, causing widespread destruction and leaving few survivors. No one knows for sure what caused it. Some say it's a virus carried by bugs, others talk about a strange purple mist, and some even believe it's a punishment for humanity. But the truth remains unknown. In the chaos, a man named Paul is out searching for supplies when sirens start blaring. He rushes through the streets, hiding when he needs to and avoiding danger. Eventually, he finds shelter in an abandoned house on the outskirts of town, where he's reunited with his children, whom he now must care for alone. 15 years later, Paul's sons are strong teenagers still living in their familiar home. By day, they scavenge for essentials, retreating indoors by night. At dusk, Joseph secures the windows and brings their dog Rocco inside. Paul waits outside until Thomas returns, often late from helping the neighboring Rose family. After bolting all entrances, Paul warns Thomas not to be late again, leading to a brief scuffle between the brothers that Paul quickly stops. After dinner, while the boys play chess, Rocco's agitation signals danger. Paul and Thomas investigate aggressive pounding at the door from the creatures. After a tense standoff, the creatures leave. Joseph reveals he noticed a pattern in the attacks and they decide to reinforce the door with more timber. The next day, they gather materials, with Thomas chopping wood and Paul assisting Joseph in the barn, where they've been building a vehicle. After successfully getting the car running, Paul takes the boys for a drive. Later, he sends them to the river to salvage materials for reinforcing the windows. Thomas is disappointed as he was supposed to go to the farm that day, but Paul prioritizes their safety. They leave in the car, and Thomas accuses Joseph of influencing Paul's decision, feeling overprotected. Joseph disagrees, and Thomas gets out near the farm, asking Joseph to pick him up later. Back at the house, Paul finishes reinforcing the door and takes a break by the waterfall. Amidst the scenery, he notices a black hole among the rocks. Meanwhile, Joseph explores an abandoned ship at the river, discovering a pinup before being startled by bugs. At the farm, Thomas helps with chores, secretly drawn to Charlotte, the owner's daughter. They share memories and theories about the apocalypse before Thomas hurries home at dusk after a tight embrace from Charlotte. Returning home, Paul finds Rocco but not his sons. Joseph struggles to start the car, but eventually gets it running. Meanwhile, Thomas falls into a crevice while rushing to catch up. Oblivious, Joseph continues home, realizing Thomas is missing only upon arrival. Paul instructs Joseph to secure the house as he sets out with Rocco to search for Thomas. In the narrow crevice, Thomas awakens to a terrifying sight: a creature extending its clawed hand through a fissure in the wall. Paul and Rocco arrive just in time to intervene, dispatching the assailant and ensuring Thomas's safety. Exploring further, they discover a tunnel leading into the crevice, opting to seek refuge until daybreak. However, they face a new threat as the monsters have adapted, sealing off their escape route with dirt. Amidst Rocco's persistent barks, Paul sacrifices himself to confront the creatures, igniting a makeshift explosive. In the house, Joseph hears ominous creaking and springs into action. Minutes later, he positions himself by the main door, securing a rope to his chair before drifting off to sleep. Soon, a creature tests the waters, probing through a hole in the door with elongated claws. Unfazed, Joseph feigns slumber until the creature ventures inside, only to be ensnared in a cleverly concealed cage triggered by Joseph's quick reflexes. Satisfied with his capture, Joseph blankets the cage and settles back to sleep. The next morning, with his family still absent, Joseph sets out in the car to search for them. Meanwhile, Thomas, laboring through the debris, manages to reopen the entrance and extricate their injured father with Rocco's aid. As they reunite, they swiftly transport Paul to safety. During their discussion, Thomas uncovers the cage, sending the trapped creature into a frenzy. Joseph quickly recovers it, explaining the creature's aversion to light. Bandaging Paul's wounds, Joseph notes the creature's unusually swift infiltration the previous night, raising suspicions of a possible accomplice. Thomas suggests the creatures may seek revenge for the massacre in their cave, while Joseph believes Paul may be responsible for their recent aggression. To test his theory, Thomas attempts to dispatch the caged creature, leading to a chaotic struggle. In the ensuing chaos, Rocco's barking prompts the creature's transformation and attack. Joseph wrestles it to the ground for Thomas to deliver the fatal blow. Determined to unravel the mystery, Joseph dissects the creature's body in the barn, but to no avail. Thomas proposes seeking refuge at Charlotte's farm, despite Joseph's skepticism. Reluctantly, Joseph agrees, and they set off, hoping for aid from the reluctant Roses. The brothers load Paul into the car and head to the farm, where Joseph's concerns are validated. Charlotte's parents lack the necessary medicine to aid Paul and decline to shelter him. However, they agree to host Thomas, which would free up resources for Paul and Joseph at home. Joseph storms off, and when Thomas follows, a heated exchange erupts. Joseph blames Thomas for their father's impending demise, leading to a physical altercation halted only when Thomas realizes the severity of his actions. Joseph drives off with their unconscious father, leaving Thomas to seek refuge with the Rose family. Charlotte offers Thomas comfort and hospitality, sharing food and personal items with him. They share a tender moment, culminating in a kiss, before Charlotte's father intervenes, separating them abruptly. On his return journey, Joseph notices the sheep in a panic and strange mounds of dirt scattered about, indicating the creature's subterranean movements. Arriving home, he spots a trail of dirt near the wall, raising concerns that the monsters may be lurking beneath the house. After attending to his father, Joseph retreats to the barn, devising a new strategy while fortifying the windows. As he traverses the house, he stumbles into a trapdoor hidden beneath a carpet, confirming his worst fears. The monsters have infiltrated their sanctuary. At the farm, Thomas, still anxious about his father, rummages through the kitchen. Charlotte, empathetic to his plight, provides him with medicine and embraces him in gratitude, unaware of prying ears. Rushing out, Thomas is accosted by a farmhand brandishing a gun, wrongly accusing him of theft despite his explanation. Overpowered, Thomas is bound and led to the barn, where a sinister fate awaits. Meanwhile, in the main house, Charlotte's parents awaken to a disturbance. Investigating with a candle, they are ambushed by a creature, igniting a frantic struggle as fire engulfs the room. Amidst chaos, the creature targets them relentlessly, while Charlotte's mother valiantly attempts to flee. Tragically, she falls victim to the creature's onslaught, leaving Charlotte to confront the horror alone. In the barn, the men's futile attempts to fend off the creatures end in tragedy, as they are systematically overwhelmed. The barn erupts in flames, but amidst the chaos, Thomas breaks free and confronts a looming threat, only to be saved by Charlotte's timely intervention. Fleeing the inferno, they witness the house ablaze, with Charlotte revealing the grim fate of her parents. United in grief and desperation, they resolve to seek refuge at Thomas's home. Back at the house, Joseph barricades the hole with furniture, checks on his unconscious father, and kisses his forehead before preparing for the fight. The door creaks open, revealing Thomas and Charlotte. Joseph admits he needs Thomas's help, but Paul regains consciousness and urges his sons to stand their ground. Joseph outlines his plan, and they gather gas cans from the barn as Rocco's barking warns of danger. They also move an old freezer into the house. While Thomas and Charlotte reinforce the windows, Joseph constructs a makeshift bomb with explosives and a burning cigarette. As the pile over the hole trembles, a creature descends the chimney towards Paul. Another emerges from the hole, but Thomas quickly kills it. A third targets Charlotte, but she neutralizes it with a shot. Regrouping, they move the freezer, and Paul emerges, bloodied from fighting the chimney intruder. Paul, armed with Charlotte's gun, fends off the creatures below but is overwhelmed by their numbers. He collapses the floor, disposing of most creatures. As the remaining monsters approach, the trio eliminates them, impressing Paul with their teamwork. Paul sacrifices himself to delay the creatures as the group seeks refuge in the freezer. Inside, Paul reminisces about holding his babies. A new horde invades, and Paul detonates the furniture bomb, collapsing the house in flames. The freezer rolls to a halt. As they search for Paul, A creature ambushes them, prompting a frantic escape in the car. Charlotte kills the pursuing creature, marking their escape. They stop to admire the stars, previously unseen due to their confinement. The next morning, they return to the ruins and decide against rebuilding. After gathering supplies and burying their loved ones, they leave in search of a new home, hopeful for the future in the distant farms ahead. The film blends family drama and horror, featuring compelling performances from Cage and his young co-stars Jaden Martell and Maxwell Jenkins. It delves into their daily struggle for survival and the dynamics within the family amidst external threats. Notably, the nightmarish and innovative creature designs add significantly to the film's horror elements. Arcadian explores several key themes: survival, family bonds, hope and innovation, and courage and sacrifice. The movie effectively merges intense creature horror with emotional depth, driven by standout performances from the cast, particularly Nicolas Cage, Jaden Martell, and Maxwell Jenkins. Notably, the film's innovative and terrifying creature design blends various horror archetypes, evoking elements of primates and xenomorphs from the Alien franchise. Director Benjamin Brewer utilizes quick shots and partial glimpses to maintain the creature's mystery and terror, ensuring their formidable and unpredictable presence throughout the film. In summary, Arcadian is a gripping narrative of survival, family, and the unwavering struggle against overwhelming odds in a nightmarish world. More exciting movies to come, so please subscribe to the channel, hit the notification bell, and click the thumbs like icon. Thanks for watching.